Yeah, you should have to pay the royalties or something. But I don't know. There's a lot of gray area with it. It's really hard to understand how it all works.
Yeah,
My
I
doesn't work like that.
I don't know because I think it's also a difference between like I was talking more like along the lines of like recording.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Then there's that. I mean, as far as like recording it and releasing it on a CD, yeah, you would almost definitely have to like contact somebody about that. I would imagine. Because
Yeah,
then you're selling like a copy of someone else's song, which I mean, I guess aren't you kind of doing that live anyway? It's not like selling a copy they can keep, but you're
no,
performing the song. Like I don't know.
no, but I mean if you're I don't imagine like Disturbed has to pay a royalty to like somebody like unless it's for like a live DVD or something like that. If they're just going to like some festival or some concert and they're just playing a like a cover song like Land of Confusion for example, um,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't think they have to like pay anybody for that because they've already paid for like the royalties to like record the song and whatnot. So it's kind of like a part of their repertoire now, so to speak.
yeah. And I'm sure they could do other covers that like they haven't recorded, as long as like it's okay to do other covers as long as they don't record them and release them on a CD. But because they've done like say Land of Confusion or Sound of Silence and recorded those and released them, then they're probably paying royalties for that, I'm sure.
I'm
But
sure
they
they are.
could go out and do like live some like Black Sabbath song that they don't have on a CD or whatever, and that's cool, I guess. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird how the music industry works, man, and it has such a weird and seedy history. Like Liz and I the other night we were watching "Hail Hail Rock and Roll," the Chuck Berry documentary,
Yeah.
because my grandfather used to kick that around quite a bit. We used to watch that a lot when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, let's watch fucking Chuck Berry, and like. Um, Even that talks about like the days of payola and shit. And like Chuck Berry was like, I had these two guys on my song who I didn't know, like I knew who one of them was, I didn't know who the other one was, but they were getting credits on my song as having, written it or being some way involved with it, and they didn't do shit. I wrote the whole thing, and I'm only getting a third, and it didn't take, a genius to figure out I should be getting more than just a third of this because I wrote and recorded the thing, and that's how shit works back then. It's like you'd pay a cut to the DJ of some station, and then he'd get his name on some song as some co-writer, so he gets a cut of that song every time it's played, and he'll play it obviously because he wants his cut. So it's fucked up, man. It's really fucked up,
Yeah.
and it's not better today.
Yeah. Like I was listening to a podcast actually, kind of going over that, and like the kind of like the biggest ones that they had talked about as far as like payola was Alan Freed and also fucking Dick Clark.
Yeah. A lot of people love Dick Clark, but they have no idea like how big into payola he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like before Dick Clark I went to trial, if I remember this right, like he sold his shares in like some recording company or something like that. And they basically said, well, like, oh, well, okay, he's not doing anything illegal. They kind of let him off. It's like, well, what the fuck, dude?
Oh
That,
man.
that makes about as much sense as like if you came to my house and you stabbed me, and then you got rid of the fucking like the knife and whatnot, and they take you to trial and whatnot. They're just like, well, I mean, he got rid of the knife, so I guess like we gotta let him
So
go.
so it never happened, I guess.
Yeah, hey, that's
But
okay.
yeah, that's fucked up, man.
Yeah. But
That's
yeah, that podcast I
so.
was talking about called American Scandal, which
Oh, I've heard of
fucking
that
fuck,
podcast.
dude, go fucking listen to it, man. Like they're talking about the breakup of Big Oil, like back in the days of like the Rockefeller days.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's what they're focusing on right now, and I fucking love that show.
I think I might have heard like one or two, like their first one or two. I think I was directed to that from shit. I want to say it was like Hardcore History, or maybe it was Kevin even. I don't remember. Might have been Kevin and like Scotty Smodco.
Hmm,
Might have been them who directed me to it. I don't remember, but
I don't
some
know.
other podcast directed me to that, and I was like, oh, fucking A, American Scandal, cool.
Yeah. Jim Cornette was the one who kind of directed me to it, but anyways. Um, but yeah, like
Conspiracy.
going back to what you were talking about, I'm actually on the Wikipedia page for Alan Freed, and there's a section legal trouble, payola scandal, and I'll just read you one paragraph here because it actually relates to what you were talking about earlier. Says Freed's career ended when he was shown that he had accepted payola payments from record companies to play specific records, a practice that was highly controversial at the time. There was also a conflict of interest that he had taken songwriting co-credits, most notably on Chuck Berry's Maybelline,
Hmm.
which entitled him to receive a part of the song's royalties, which he could help increase by heavily promoting the record on his own program. In another example, Harvey Fuqua of the Moonglows insisted Freed's name was not merely a credit on the song Sincerely, but that he actually did co-write it, which then would be a conflict of interest for Freed to promote.
Hmm.
But yeah,
What a douchebag.
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, and I mean, nowadays the industry's kind of dead because like, the whole sharing thing really kind of did it in. And
Like,
it's never really recovered since.
yeah,
But I'm okay with that because I mean it's so fucking corrupt and ridiculous that the way to get by in the music industry is you got to know people basically. You got to have a foot in the door. And if
like,
you don't, then you're fucked.
yeah,
Unless you get lucky. I mean, people get lucky, like fuck, even Justin Bieber was just some kid playing on the street. Like if you go on YouTube, you can find an old school video of Justin Bieber playing guitar like out on the street. And look at him now. He's some fucking obnoxious douchebag running around with fucking I don't know. I'm thinking that he's, from Compton or some shit, some Canadian asshole. Fuck that kid.
yeah. But it's like, why would you want to find video of him like playing guitar on the street in like Toronto or something like that when there's the video of him like I forget what TV show it was, but his character was getting like shot down in like a hail of bullets. Like, oh, this is so much more satisfying. Hang on, put it in slow
Well,
motion.
it
Oh,
just shows like some people do get lucky. Sometimes you do get picked out of fucking nowhere, and for better or worse. But sometimes, people do get plucked out of fucking nowhere. Like that Cash Me Outside obnoxious chick who was on that, Dr. Phil show, and all of a sudden everybody was talking about that obnoxious little cunt.
yeah. Um, yeah, and she had like 15 minutes of fame, and she was supposedly gonna go out on like a tour and like just do like a rap concert or something like that. And it's like, fucking why?
Seriously, and that's the other thing too is the fact that we have a music industry that makes it possible for people like her to have a music career really offends me because like I play my instruments and shit and I write my own shit, and she's got other people like writing because you know that chick is not writing her own material. She's not recording these instruments herself. Like there's no way.
Yeah,
It's just basically someone throwing her into a pre-record. Like it's like just add water, just add person to the mix and it's ridiculous.
yeah,
That's like the whole like when the boy band thing happened in the 2000s. That was like a concerted effort to get a bunch of like all male or like in the case of the Spice Girls, like an all female group together to fucking and then they tried to get groups like that together because especially when they started getting popular. So you just throw people together, who had like no chemistry or whatever, but hey, they sounded good together and we can make it work. So it's fucking ridiculous.
it is ridiculous. But I mean, I also blame fucking social media for that too. It's like, oh my god, look at this fucking stupid thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
there's a little too much like ironic appreciation of things.
yeah, and like going back to like the whole recording industry and whatnot. Like to your point, yes, it's always been fucked. I think I talked about this last week or the week before that. But there was somebody did a asked D Snyder a question on Twitter. The question was, "What's your opinion on record companies that have made hundreds of millions of dollars by selling shares in Spotify? Are there artists seeing any of this money?" So D replies back, "The artists have always gotten effed over by the business end of things." He says, "Case in point, Twisted Sister got 8% of the profits from Stay Hungry," which keep in mind, Stay Hungry went, I think it was like 4 or 5 times platinum.
Hmm.
Out of that 8%, 4% went to the producer, and the remaining 4% paid for recording, tour support, and videos. The record company got 92%. He says, "We didn't see a penny off record sales. 5 million copies sold worldwide." So, okay, so 5 times platinum. Until 1997. The album was released in 84. We broke up in 87.
Damn.
Yeah. So, I mean, the record company treating artists like shit, that's nothing new right now.
No, no. I mean, there was some similar stats thrown out by Bo Diddley and Little Richard in that same documentary, where I think it was Little Richard was like, when I released my single, he released what was it, Tutti Frutti, and Pat Boone did his own version, and Pat Boone's version sold really well, and at first, Little Richard's didn't, but eventually, when people found out that it was a cover, they went to Little Richard's version because they liked his version of it better. But at any rate, when he released it, at the time, I think they said that it cost like 59 cents to make a record, like a 45, right?
Yeah.
And so he would get a penny for every record that was sold. And he's like, I'm sitting here doing the math and wondering where those other 58 pennies went. You know, like, what the fuck? You know, like, how did I lose that much out of this deal? But that's how it is. Like, they always fuck over the people who do all the work. It's always the people sitting somewhere in a cubicle somewhere who get all the money.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is everywhere, right? I mean, whether it's like, you know, the music industry or, you know, a corporation, like it's never the technicians. Like, think about Comcast, for example. And I'm just picking on them just because, I don't know, why not? I have no affiliation with them, and I know you don't either, so I feel comfortable picking on them.
Yeah.
So a Comcast technician goes out, and I don't know, he comes to your house well, he doesn't come to your house because you don't have Comcast, but they go to your house and they deal with whatever fucking internet problem you have. And what do they get paid? Probably like, I don't know, maybe 15, 18, 20 bucks an hour if they're really lucky.
Something like
depending
that, yeah.
on where they are too. Like if they're in a big, you know, like New York City, they might get more. You know, they're out in fucking Bumblefuck, Connecticut, they might make, you know, 12 bucks an hour. Who the fuck knows? Whatever, they don't make that much money, but you know that the bigwigs sitting in like the corporate offices of Comcast are making bank. And what the fuck do they really do all day? Like seriously.
Well, it's not only that, but
like who take most of the shit and get none of the fucking money.
Yeah, I mean it's not only that, but like, you know, I can't tell you how many fucking news articles that have like just pissed me off from like, you know, some executive like company goes bankrupt or something like that, or they have to lay off like 6,000 employees, but this guy still gets a $15 million bonus or something like that.
Yeah, or someone goes on like some really expensive vacation or something like that. Didn't someone get busted for that recently? I want to say it was like Walmart or somebody, some huge like store. The CEO.
I don't know.
It was like, oh yeah, it was like some CEO was killed on like a scuba diving trip. It was like the Domino's, some higher up at Domino's was killed on like this luxurious like, I don't know, diving trip or something like that. But they were still they were still paying their pizza delivery guys like minimum wage.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry, but fuck that guy. Like, I don't want anybody to die. I wish nobody ill will, but fuck that guy. Like, he could afford to go out and, you know, drown surrounded by, like, sharks in this fucking beautiful water in this beautiful country. Good for him. Meanwhile, the people who are doing the work that makes it possible for him to take that vacation are barely scraping by and can only dream of having a vacation to, I don't know, fucking the next state over. Never mind wherever the fuck this guy died. Like, I'm sorry, but fuck that guy.
Yeah. So there was actually somebody from McDonald's recently, CEO Steve Easterbrook. I'm reading an article on ChicagoBusiness.com. You got to give him credit for that. So here's what happened. So the McDonald's board voted to fire Easterbrook after investigating a relationship he had with an employee, which was consensual but violated company policy. So the termination was categorized as, quote, without cause. Oh, it gets better. It gets better. Like, if you aren't pissed off right now, just hold your horses.
No, I said, was it Grimace?
Grimace was up his ass.
Yeah. Grimace was the person he was having inappropriate behavior with.
Dude, he said there was candy in here. Just make it seem like a whole like fucking orgy like in McDonald's. Like the fry kids are twisting the guy's nipples.
Hamburger runs through.
Hamburger. He's just rubbing the guy's balls like rubble rubble. Gotta rub the balls, rubble rubble.
Okay, once again, we really need an animator.
That or one of us has to learn how to draw shit.
Seriously.
Like you've seen my art, you've got a head start. Ronald McDonald in a corner crying.
I'm glad we went here because honestly, like we were sounding pretty pissed off for a while. And I know you're gonna dive into like shitting on McDonald's, but man, we needed that little venture into.
Oh, we need that every now and then. Yeah, I agree. Yes, we need that every now and then. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, so the termination was categorized as, quote, without cause. The Chicago-based firm said Monday, signaling that the transgression wasn't severe enough to bar him from receiving exit payments. His health insurance benefits will continue for 18 months. Now, let's get a little more detailed on this. So they fired him. He exits the company with a pay package that includes 26 weeks of his annual salary, stock options worth more than $37 million, and health